Hello everyone, and we hope you had a really great week. I wanted to use this webinar to talk a bit about some of the more obvious things that you may have noticed during the Sense Rugby sessions. These include the visual supports that you see or the visual schedule that you see when you arrive to a session. You might be very familiar with this technique, particularly if your child has been in early intervention before. Many of the kids that come to Sense Rugby find it a little bit difficult to cope with changes in routine or unfamiliarity or unpredictability, and others may find it very difficult to stay on task. One of the simplest yet the most effective ways we can help kids with this is to try and increase their predictability and increase their familiarity with situations. It helps our kids to feel a little bit more in control, which in turn can make it easier to avoid some of those meltdowns or to help the child feel safe and successful in activities. We can make things a little bit more predictable by providing some pictures of the activities they're going to do or videos of the activities they're going to do in the order they're going to do it, so giving them some warning about what comes next. You may also notice that we put a finish box at the end of the pictures so we can try and help kids get that sense of achievement once they're finished with the task. Some of the groups may also include the same order of activities every time they come to Sense Rugby, so there's a sense of familiarity and so they know what activities they're likely to do. Although this may seem repetitive, what we're trying to do is create a safe environment for kids to know what's coming next and then challenge them within that particular activity instead. A few other tricks that we use is to count down once we get towards the end of an activity so kids know when it's likely to end, especially if they found the activity particularly enjoyable. Another thing is also to count before the activity starts, so the 3, 2, 1, go, to make sure they know when it's their turn to go. You can try this at home to a variety of different extents depending on how much your child might need it. For example, if your child has a very difficult time getting dressed in the morning without getting distracted, you may help them by giving them a visual schedule of what they need to be doing. For example, we're going to brush our teeth now, and then we're going to put our clothes on, we're going to have a shower, etc. You can also help them by providing them with a way to feel successful at the end of every activity, whether that's taking it off and putting it in the finish box or just ticking next to it. If your child has a really difficult time finishing one activity and moving on to another, and particularly thinking the iPad or screen time, it may also be helpful to have a visual timer attached to the activity. We often use things like the Time Timer app or a physical time timer to help kids to know how much time is left before they need to move on to the next game. You can also count down for difficult activities that they may not enjoy, things like brushing their teeth or putting their clothes on, etc. If you give the kids a finish time or something that can help them see that the activity won't last forever, that might help them to tolerate the activity for a bit longer. Another way that we use some of the visual aids to help increase predictability and familiarity is also to help kids finish activities within a reasonable time. Some of our kids can take very long with basic everyday tasks such as dinner, etc. Having that visual timer to help kids understand how long they have to complete the activity could help speed those everyday things up a bit. Some families also increase the predictability and familiarity by keeping a very consistent and a familiar routine for their kids throughout the week. They often will also make a visual schedule, whether that's a calendar with pictures of what comes up every day. That can help kids know exactly what they have coming up that week. Some of our other families have also asked teachers to implement a schedule, and a visual schedule in particular, of the activities they complete in the classroom so that kids can know what they may need to prepare for in the next lesson. For kids with sensory or social difficulties, the unpredictability of the world can be very overwhelming. It can result in very high levels of anxiety, which can often present in disruptive behaviour or withdrawal from activities. Try to look for what underlies that behaviour, because often predictability and familiarity can really help kids to stay on task and stay focused and also stay calm in a space. Small things can really make a huge difference, and imagine the difference in your relationship with your child if he or she can see that someone understands what they may need to feel successful. As always, let us know how that goes for you this week, and have a great week.